Start.
Hi, good morning Catherine. We are here to show you our presentation about the 42 international PVT limited companies, and here are the group members. We discuss each and everything.
My name is Sudesh.
I'm Simran
I'm Ish Preet and our fifth partner is Navraj Singh.
and he's holding a camera now.
Now we are discuss each and every points one by one. First of all, I discuss the introduction part. Well, there's the two partners of this company, Kim and Lee. Both are the shareholders and the directors of 42 International PVT Limited Company. They vended their shares in FTI to the Blue Freeway Limited under a share purchase agreement (SPA). Well, under the SPA, the initial payment of whole the project is 10 million was made, and additional payments were to commuted based on the FIT future earnings in 2007. Well, in 2007, the company's earnings were boosted by the insurance and the intellectual property license to Campaign Masters, UK. But unknown to the Blue Ferry, the sellers were involved in financing the license. Initially, the sellers had represented to the purchasers that an independent third party would finance the license fee, but the third party failed to meet that obligation. Well, upon the payment method of the license fee, the seller negotiated an exist agreement in which received an additional payment of 16 million computed on the basis of the 2007 that comprised the license fee. Blue Ferry laid claims for the damages, arguing that there will be little not to be respective conduct of the sellers in concealing their role in finding the fines license fee. The payment of 16 million would not have been made, or would be negotiate a lower payment. Similarly, they accused the directors of breaching their fiduciary and statutory duties. After the introduction portion, now my colleague show you the duties and responsibility breach between both of them.
So, the purchaser alleged breaches of 182 of the Corporation Act 2001, which obligates director not to misuse their position for personal benefit or any other person else. Anyone cannot be breached their conditions. It can be argued that the director acted to advance their personal interest by influencing the payment of the additional 16 million of themselves. And similarly, the application alleged breach of 191 of the Corporation Act that requires director not to notify other director of the company of any material personal interest in the affairs of the corporation. This claim was brought forth due to the vendor's failure to reveal that they had financed the license transactions supposedly not to be jeopardized the transaction and to secure their out entitlement. And similarly, the applicants claim that the seller violated an implied term in the purchase agreement that required the vendor to reveal all information material to the calculation of the company earnings. Moreover, the vendors were accused of engaging in deceptive and misleading conduct in relation to a financial service or product in contravention of 1041H of the Corporation Act 2001. The application contended that the vendor were deceptive and misleading, as they had previously submitted to the purchaser that the license fee could be funded with the assistance of the independent third party. And further responsibilities will be explained by my colleague.
There is some more responsibilities, and in their defense, the seller denied violating their duties, arguing that neither of them had a material personal interest in matters and related to the affairs of FTI, and that didn't have benefits in the terms of interest from the fees paid. And moreover, the further content that their interest in receiving their entitlement solely, and their sum of affairs of Blue Freeway, to whom they owed no duty of disclosure, as they were not officer of the companies. The directors' duties to FTI were not breached in the directors, had no material personal interest, and with regard to FTI, and their action were in the fact beneficial for the FTI, and they haven't determined their increase the company earnings. It remained the court to determine whether the directors or similar statutory fiduciary duty to the parent company and Blue Freeway, and the director breached the duties Now my colleague is gonna tell you about the discussion and analysis of the court. Here you go.
Yeah, there are many analyses. The first of all is that the court ruled that the vendors had indeed violating the implied term. So it was held that the express requirements of the agreement in relation to disclosure and reporting implied that the seller to have disclosed all financial information to the computation of the EBIT. So the court was on the opinion that the express provisions are created the indeed implied to relevant term that would be necessary to meet the goal of purchase agreement. So the court held that the FTA director's actions were deceptive and misleading license fee could be funded by an independent third party. So in financing the license fee of the directors to obtain the substantial financial benefits of the transaction would be included in 2070 7 EBIT.
Furthermore, the finding was grounded on the original representation to the purchasers, which was true that is making become false due to the subsequent actions that are being done by the vendors and that are not being rectified. Now we have come to the end of our our presentation. So there is a relevance that is that is being included in the decision of the development of Australian corporations law. So it was raised that due to the disclosure of the directors to avoid being found to have engaged in their misleading conduct that had been done by them, it also instituted that relevant reporting and disclosure procedures in the context of directors acting on behalf of the corporations for companies which the many subsidiaries have been used in their management. The court has made the decision that there is a very less scope of the statutory duties because the directors had not explained each and everything that had happened that leads to the breach of their duties in the company. So when the companies are being involved in the breach of duties, the director is not being considered as a director in the company. The court has also dismissed the claims that the directors had breached their statutory and fiduciary duties on the grounds because the vendors have questioned that are being owed by the FTI and not the Blue Fairy Limited. And also the FT had suffered many losses and consequences because they have done the breach of their duties. This is the end of our presentation about the Forthytwo International Private Limited and the duties that have been breached by them. So we thank you for your time to listen to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.